Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Hall. Senator Hall, so if I understand your bill correctly, it will prohibit a city or a county from holding a buyback program? Is that what?
That's correct.
What would the rationale for that if that city or county feels that that's good?
Because across the country it's been tried and it's very ineffective. It's a huge waste of money. It could be used on other programs, and it also creates an opportunity for someone to dispose of a weapon and actually make money while doing of it.
These buyback programs, they're voluntary, are they not? They're voluntary buyback programs, correct?
Of the individual, but it's taxpayer money that's being used for it that could be better used on other programs.
So is the only opposition you have to the programs that they are using taxpayer dollars to buy the guns?
That they're ineffective. And it's even a question whether it's constitutional for government to do that, in that it has a hint of insinuating that gun ownership is unconstitutional or illegal.
How do they do that?
I read this in a number of articles that are written on why they should not exist.
But my question is, how does a city or a county insinuate that gun ownership is illegal when they're paying someone for their gun?
That's what those that have studied it have said about it. My biggest concern is the money that's being wasted that could be used on other programs. It has no purpose. If they buy the guns and destroy them, it is a waste of money that we have many a program that money could better be spent on.
So if the cities and counties, if the money is the problem, I heard you say the biggest problem is the taxpayer wastes the money using these. What if a store that sells groceries would voluntarily offer gift cards to the city or the county? Would you be then okay with it since no taxpayer dollars would be going? So could we have a firearm buyback program? Let's say you're a family that's struggling, and maybe you inherited an old shotgun from someone in the family. You never use it, you don't go hunting, but you're struggling, you're financially struggling, that thing you've never used. Why would you be opposed to them selling it to the city or the county? I don't see the opposition for money, but let's say you don't want taxpayer dollars to go. If they could exchange it for a gift card to buy some groceries.
I have no problem with a private sale, whether it's for a gift card or for a check or for a bag of coins. Individual does it with another individual or with a business.
So would it be possible then to amend your legislation? Let me see here. You just do an outright ban on a city or a county having a buyback program, but I'm curious if what we could do, you say they may not adopt or enforce an ordinance or an order or other measure in which a municipality or county organizes, sponsors, or participates in a program that purchases or offers to purchase firearms. So this bill does more than just say we don't want to use tax dollars. This bill says I don't want you to even organize, talk about it, get involved anyhow where we take off some guns against. And I'm trying to figure out if it's the tax dollar issue, then why don't we do an amendment to this legislation and say a city or a county could organize a program where someone voluntarily bring their firearm in exchange for something of value that they both agree to. It wouldn't be tax dollars, it wouldn't be money.
Well, it's also not the role of government. That's not the government's role. Government has the things they ought to be doing.
So my understanding in my hometown, where I had a city councilman organize a buyback program, that people were happy to bring unused firearms and get in exchange, and I think it was some HEB gift cards. I don't even remember exactly how they paid for them, but people were happy to take something that was going unused and exchange it for something that they could take care of their family with. So you don't think that it's a proper role of an elected official at the community level, at the city level, to try to help their constituents take care of their families and get rid of something they don't need or want anymore?
There are plenty of ways that counties can better take care of the people than buying something that is absolutely useless to the city. They will throw the gun away, so it's money that's wasted. Use that money on a program of some kind, or to provide food, or provide something directly to the family. But it's not the role of government to go out and buy people's guns in order for them to be able to buy their food. The main thing is it's just not the basic role of government.
I understand that you don't like that cities and counties are organizing these buyback programs, but isn't it a little bit ironic that we talk about, you bring up not being the role of government, but I guess we at the state, you're proposing that we pass a state law so that locally elected officials, city or county officials who are much closer to their constituents than we are, that you tell them, we know what's better for you and your community. Whether it's Rockwall or whether it's Mission, Texas, or San Benito or Laredo, we may not know what's happening down there. And maybe there is an abundance of firearms that are unnecessary and people are going hungry. And the city says, would you be interested in a buyback program? No one's being forced to go there. And so in a sense, this bill, Representative Verdell's bill, is just government tying the hands of local elected officials who were elected by their citizens. And you're saying that we as the state know better than you do. Why?
It's not that we know better than you. It's just not the role of government. They're better off to use the money. Here was Austin. Back in May of 22, the Austin Police Chief, Joseph Chacon, expressed skepticism regarding the efficacy of gun buyback programs. He noted that research indicates that these programs are ineffective in reducing gun violence and associated crimes, as the firearms surrendered are often not those used in criminal activities. Consequently, the Austin Department decided not to recommend a buyback program. And there are article after article
what was that?
saying
I'm
the
sorry,
same thing.
I wanted to hear that last point. You said the Austin community decided not to have the buyback?
Not to do it because of that.
So they decided not to have one, even though they didn't have the state of Texas telling them they didn't have to have one. See, they didn't need us to tell them that we didn't have to have a buyback program. They came up with that decision on their own. And I understand that you can say, well, this is ineffective or unnecessary, but we've done a lot of things this year. We heard a bill that said we're going to keep children safe. We're going to make adults safe because of the dangerous items that they have at these places where they sell Delta 8, 9, and 10. But yet here we have a bill that says you can voluntarily bring a firearm that you don't want. And we're not asking them to have it. You're just telling them they can't have it. You're being proactive to tell cities, small and large, and counties, the state of Texas believes that we know better than you do, and we're going to prohibit you from ever organizing a buyback program.
What we're saying is someone has a gun that they want to sell, the free market is open for them to sell it to. And also selling a gun on these buyback programs, it's been found that many of those guns are guns that were used in crimes that people were getting rid of, didn't want to be caught with. And so it was a good way to actually make money off of something rather than just throw it in the river.
That part, I agree with you that people should investigate any gun that comes through the system. I think we can talk about lots of good common sense gun legislation. And if I'm happy to, join author any legislation that would make us honestly safer. I just think, and I'm not going to stop because we're just belaboring the point, that it just seems hypocritical for those of us up here in Austin, Texas, many of us who believe in less government, many of us who believe in liberty and freedom and responsibilities, that we have to present a law to tell cities and counties that they can't offer a buyback program for their citizens. I appreciate your respectful dialogue, as always, Senator Hall, and I'm planning to vote against this bill because I just don't think it's right for us to tell cities and counties how they should run their cities. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
And I appreciate your question. I appreciate working with you. And anytime you want to talk about working jointly on something like that, with weapons, I'll be glad to work with you on it anytime. Thank you.